Now, the best of strikers know how to create their own opportunities. What if I was to tell you in both of these situations, Nkunku managed to get a shot on goal? In both of these situations, Nkunku managed to score. Nkunku managed to do something a lot of players can't do. Now, if there was one way for me to describe Milan, Allegri, their entire summer, expect the unexpected. Here we go. Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted, Nkunku to Milan, it's a done deal. So what should we expect of Nkunku? Does he fit into Allegri's 3-5-2? Is it time to panic? Like, is Nkunku coming across like a panic buy? Somebody that was available, the price was right, and Milan capitalized? Or could this be another case of Christian Pulisic, a player at Chelsea that was ridden by injuries, but once he came to Italy, once he came to the San Siro, he put it all behind him, and he became a fan favourite? In this video, we will cover every single one of those things. If you're new, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Let's get into it. Now, let's start off with Nkunku's profile. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, he's one of those strikers that knows how to create his own opportunities. Okay, now when you look at this one against Liverpool, receives the ball in a congested area. There's no way in hell any striker, any player can turn around whilst being surrounded by the Van Dijks, the Ibrahima Konates, turn around, get a shot on goal and score. But Nkunku does this. When the chips are down and the pressure is high against Bournemouth, he does the exact same thing. The one thing about Nkunku is he's very good at dribbling in those tight areas. And sometimes as a striker, when you receive the ball in an area where you haven't got much help, you haven't got much support, can you create an opportunity for yourself? Because those are the biggest difference makers in football. Players that can create opportunities for themselves and spin the game on its head within a matter of seconds. Nkunku can do this. Now, what is the elephant in the room when it comes to Nkunku? Why is everybody scared? Don't worry. The injuries, we will discuss that later. He hasn't been great at Chelsea. He really hasn't been great. Now, let me break it down for you guys. When it comes to Chelsea, everybody's looking at it and thinking, wow, Nkunku is finally here. Nkunku, who in 4 seasons in the Bundesliga got the following numbers. In 2019-2020, 5 goals, 13 assists. In 2020-2021, 6 goals, 6 assists. 2021-2022, 20 goals, 13 assists. 2022-2023, the final season before he moved to Chelsea, 16 goals and 4 assists. And these are all in the Bundesliga, like in the league. I'm not taking into consideration Champions League, DFP cups, domestic cups. No. Nkunku was one of the most prolific players in the Bundesliga. He comes to Chelsea, everybody's looking at it and thinking, this is the player that will revolutionize us. Starts off preseason very well. He scores 3 goals in his first 4 preseason games. Everybody's falling in love with him. Borussia Dortmund game comes. Him and Mats Hummels, they clash. He gets himself a knee injury. He's out for about 3-4 months. It's actually crazy how life works sometimes. Chelsea, they panic. The person that they had based their entire season on and they were looking to build their team around based on the numbers that he got in the Bundesliga is now injured. And he's out for 3-4 months. And the season starts in 1 week. They go and they get Cole Palmer. At that period, Cole Palmer had made it crystal clear with Manchester City. I'm not sticking around to sit on the bench. I'm ready to leave. Chelsea took one of the biggest gambles. The rest is history. And Nkunku comes back after 3-4 months. He can't get back into the team. This is Cole Palmer's team. Everybody can see what Cole Palmer is currently doing at Chelsea and what he's been doing. And Nkunku has not fallen down the pecking order because he's crap. Because he struggled in the Premier League, because he's not impactful, because he can't put up those numbers anymore. Like you could even see from the few goals that I showed you guys. When he comes on, he scores goals. When he comes on, he has an impact. The problem is he wants to play in the same position that Cole Palmer plays in. And I'll be real, Cole Palmer is undroppable. Because of that, Nkunku is playing second fiddle. Nkunku is the backup. Now, on top of that, Enzo Maresca, Pochettino, they tried to fit him in. But the problem is, when Cole Palmer is playing in the position that you want to play in, where else can you play? You either play as a striker. Nkunku is not a striker. Let me just repeat that. Nkunku is not a striker. Or you play out wide. Misprofiled. I feel like the whole of last season, he was hardly injured, but he was misprofiled. He was constantly playing in the wrong position. If you sign a player that flourishes in a certain system, in a certain position, when you sign him and play him in the wrong system, in the wrong position, don't be surprised if he doesn't do well. That's just my opinion on Nkunku. Like, I feel like he's been very, very, very unfortunate. But what does it mean for Milan? What does it mean for Allegri? What does it mean for the Serie A? Now, in my opinion, I saw a report after the game against Cremonese that said it was crunch time. Tare, Allegri, they were shocked by the performance against Cremonese. They were shocked by the defeat. They were like, listen, we need to go back to the drawing board. There's reports coming out that Allegri, he wants to move away from the 5-3-2 to the 4-3-3 to the 4-2-3-1. For me, Nkunku is the biggest sign the 5-3-2, maybe, just maybe, is not Allegri's long-term vision at Milan. You don't sign Nkunku and play 5-3-2. I'm being completely honest with you guys. Where do you put him? You might turn around and say, yeah, Haj, no problem. We put him next to Santi Jimenez in attack. Yeah, mate. What about Rafael? What about Pulisic? It's not making sense. But if I was to say to you, scrap the 5-3-2. Let's do a 4-2-3-1. Nobody is getting misprofiled. Nobody is being misprofiled. Everybody is playing in their favourite position. And thirdly, it just allows Milan to field more attack. As you could see, Pulisic goes back to the right-hand side. And Nkunku gets to play as this attacking midfielder / centre forward in that number 10 position. Rafael goes back to the position that he knows best, the left-hand side. Santi Jimenez plays in attack. You look at that front four. There's no way you field that front four, let alone those 4 players in the 5-3-2. You can't. You genuinely can't, because you've automatically got 5 defenders plus a goalkeeper. So more than 50% of your team is defensive-minded players. 4-2-3-1 is the vision. And the final talking point, is Nkunku injury prone? In my opinion, no. I feel like there's a massive misconception around the term injury prone. Let me break it down. Injury prone is when a player suffers reoccurring injuries season after season, month after month. For example, Nkunku, if he had fragile hamstrings, and every 3 months, his hamstring goes. 3 months later, hamstring goes. 6 months later, hamstring goes, and he's out for 3-4 months. We can turn around and be like, listen, when it comes to Nkunku, that hamstring of his is very prone to injury. You look at Nkunku's injury record, besides the big injury, and it's not even as big as an ACL or an MCL. He was ruled out for just under 4 months. He was ruled out in preseason. He came back just before Christmas, okay? Besides that injury, all of the other injuries that he's had are the average injuries that footballers have from this congested fixture schedule. And as wild as this may sound, any Milan fan, you should look at it like this. This is a blessing in disguise. A blessing in disguise. That means Nkunku has hardly played any football over the past 2 years. It means his body is ready. Fair enough, you have to get his match sharpness, his match rhythm. You have to get his body ready to go back to playing week in, week out. But Milan play once a week. I look at Nkunku and I say, this is a guy that's hardly played any football last season. His body's been training on a weekly basis because last season, 2024-2025 season at Chelsea, Nkunku hardly had any injuries. He was playing every single week in the Conference League, and every single week he was coming off the bench in the Premier League games. No injuries whatsoever. I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, so for one whole season, you've been fit. You've been healthy. You've been training. You've been coming on and playing games to a high intensity. You've been starting every Thursday in the Conference League. And you've been scoring goals. And you're what? Only 27 years old? For me, this is another Christian Pulisic. This is another Christian Pulisic. Christian Pulisic, when he came to the San Siro, when he came to Milan, everybody looked at him and said, wow, injury prone. Look at him now. How many games has Pulisic missed in his 2-3 seasons at Milan? How many? Not many. Not many. And Nkunku, for me, I just have 2 question marks. One, I feel like the money could have gone into a better area, a better department. Like, if Milan had made it crystal clear, they're more than happy to splash 35-40 million on a player, I would have seriously turned around and said, guys, put that money into a centre-back. Maybe 2 centre-backs, okay? But clearly, I've been saying this like the whole summer. It comes across like they don't really have much faith in Santi Jimenez. That's why they keep looking at Vlahovic. And it's being reported that they're still going to try and pursue Vlahovic. They're bringing in Nkunku. I think Milan, Allegri, Tare, they look at their forward line and they think we need more goals than it has. And fair enough, no problem. The only other thing is, I'm a bit concerned if Allegri was to bring him in and stick to the 5-3-2. Because that's when it's a problem. He can't play as a wing-back. None of this play him in a 3-man midfield. Yes, you can play him in a 2-man forward line because that's where he flourishes the most. But the problem is with the 5-3-2, it's not the same as the 4-4-2 where you could still fit in Pulisic and Leao. No, with the 5-3-2, somebody is going to be sacrificed to accommodate Nkunku. You can't sacrifice Leao and you can't sacrifice Pulisic. Someone's missing out. 4-2-3-1, it makes too much sense. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'd be very surprised if Milan have gone and forked 35-40 million on Nkunku to play 5-3-2, and you could seriously make a case, misprofile him once again. Now time will tell. If you're new, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Milan Lecce. Have a good evening.